In the last episode, I took a look at some of the most mysterious skyboxes within Super Mario 64. So today I thought I might as well continue the series by exploring Super Mario Galaxy and showing you guys some of these more indescribable skyboxes. Now it's important to take note that this game is a lot newer than 64, therefore the graphics are much better and thus much less off-putting. Rather, this time around they are a lot more beautiful and vast. But that's not to say there aren't a few eerie ones thrown in there, as you'll come to see in this video, so with all that said, let's get started with the Common Observatory. Now this is obviously one of the most memorable hub worlds from the 3D Mario games, and it's not hard to see why. It's gorgeous. The observatory itself is vivid and calming to run around in, and its overall atmosphere is very chill. But to me, this feeling just wouldn't be the same without the skybox. This is absolutely beautiful, and one of my favorite touches in particular is how you can see the Mushroom Kingdom far away in the distance. The endless void of space also contributes to this game's most prominent theme, loneliness, but in a beautiful way. The music is melancholic here, and pair that with the dark skies of outer space and you've got perhaps one of the most unique hub worlds in the entire franchise. The next one I want to take a look at is located in Toy Time Galaxy, and this one is definitely one of the more unsettling skyboxes that feels like it would be perfectly at home in Super Mario 64. Ever since I was a little kid, this galaxy has always stood out to me, thanks in large part to how weird the environment is here. Mario is essentially trapped within this giant playhouse with those foam mats I know we all used at some point in time when we were infants. For some reason, these are also on the ceiling, rather than there just being an actual roof, but I digress. Another part that always stood out to me was the toy trains riding around in the distance, with no railroads, just floating around in this giant space playhouse. It's super distinct though, and I love how unique it is compared to the rest of the game. However, none of this manages to feel as off-putting as the giant windows which display nothing but the empty void of space behind them. This somehow makes this otherwise colorful and cheery level feel lonely and claustrophobic, but again, the atmosphere is incredible here, so it gets a 10 out of 10 from me. The Ghostly Galaxy is another strange one, much like Toy Time Galaxy, but this one is much spookier overall. For starters, there seems to be a lot more black holes actually visible in this level than there normally is in the other stages, but the creepiest part about all this is by far these ghosts which seem to appear from this side and slowly absorb into this other side. One of the most enjoyable parts about really taking the time to examine a video game from a different lens is that you'll come to discover all sorts of things you might have never noticed by just plowing through the stage normally. But I mean, just look at this. The amount of detail stuffed into each and every galaxy is astounding and enhances the atmosphere tenfold. Well, that's it for this one, so let's move on to the next. This is a rather forgettable location to most people, the Bubble Breeze Galaxy. Much like Toy Time Galaxy, this one has always stood out to me due to its skybox only being used once, right here in this mission. It's very simple yet effective at shrouding this place in mystery. This is mainly due to the fire way off in the distance. Like, what could possibly be out there? It's fun to speculate even though we'll never know, and it's particularly mesmerizing each time you fly into this galaxy and witness the pinkish sky mixed in with the fiery background. It's actually pretty hard to get a good view of this place, so that's why I had to use this little glitch the developers left in order to get a higher ground for a better view of this surreal location. But there's still a few more skyboxes left to show off, so let's move on. Alright, next up is Buoy Bas Galaxy, and much like the Common Observatory, this one is mainly the endless starry void of space, but what differentiates this one from the observatory is the addition of floating objects out in the distance. For some unknown reason, this just changes the atmosphere so much to me, and it just goes to show how much one simple change can alter the overall feel of a video game. Buoy Bas also feels a lot more open than much of the other galaxies, and I think that's mainly due to the fact that there's a lot more room to move around in this place. And on top of that, this is the only planet in the galaxy that we visit. There aren't any launch stars except that little one at the end, but that just takes you straight to the power star, so it doesn't really count. This is just a beautiful stage overall and really shows off the beauty of Super Mario Galaxy. Look at this! Space Junk Galaxy is another super famous area in the game, mainly because of its gorgeous soundtrack, but also because of its stunning atmosphere. This is one of the darkest levels in the game as it truly puts all the attention on displaying the vast loneliness of space. The main objective here is to sling Mario around with the pole stars, but it's done in such a way where the entire experience feels oddly cathartic. I'd also like to point out this vortex looking thing down here. I don't know why, but this has always intrigued me. Just the overall aesthetic and patterns of Space Junk Galaxy are hypnotizing and hauntingly beautiful. It's simple yet extremely powerful. Now it's on to one of my personal favorite levels in the game, Battle Rock Galaxy. This skybox is super unique and I don't even know how to explain it. It's hard to tell what exactly is going on here, but all I know is that it looks amazing. It's another stage focused heavily on capturing the raw essence of space, and it does that perfectly. The encouraging soundtrack also really enhances this area's general vibe, and it's definitely one of the standouts of the soundtrack. This big ball of smoke is interesting to me as I really don't know what it's supposed to be, but that just adds to the mystery of Battle Rock Galaxy. I really do hope we get more of these vast open environments in a future 3D Mario game. Next up is Freeze Flame Galaxy, another one of my favorites. Just as a side note, the missions here are incredible and blend the fire and ice themes perfectly with one another. It's just a really cool stage overall. But as for the skybox itself, one of my favorite aspects to it is how from the very first planet you land on upon entering the stage, you're able to see both the fire and ice portions of the level out in the distance. These essentially become part of the skybox when viewing them from the starting planet, which sparks a great level of curiosity, especially if it's your first time ever playing this game. Another standout is how you can see what looks to be the Northern Lights, which is absolutely stunning. This is definitely one of the best looking galaxies in the game, and that's part of the reason I'll never get tired of playing through it, if not to at least admire its utter beauty. The next one is super unique. Located in Sweet Sweet Galaxy, you can only reach this place by feeding a hungry Luma, and as you can see, it's a candy themed level. This one is short and sweet, with my favorite part being the floating, spinning utensils just chilling out in the distance. I also really love how this level takes place during a bright cloudy day. It's a nice change of pace from the usual loneliness present throughout most of the other stages. There's not much else to say about this one, so let's move on. This is Bowser's Star Reactor, located in the Fountain Dome. The skybox here excels at making Super Mario Galaxy feel real. When I think of being inside a planet, my brain immediately thinks of this. I mean, just look at this, it's terrifying. It feels like I'm actually inside of a planet with the red skies and ominous mist looming below Mario at all times. Yet again, this is just a super unique location and certainly doesn't feel like it'd be in a Mario game, but oddly enough, it fits perfectly. You know, a lot of these skyboxes are tough to explain, but that's just the beauty of them. The unknown is equally as terrifying as it is captivating, and Mario Galaxy excels with this concept in all areas. But now I want to take you all to the last area for this video, located within the first galaxy of the game. So this is the Gateway Galaxy, which acts as a tutorial for the gravity-based movement and mechanics, and although it is the first place you visit in the game after the Star Festival, it still pulls off an absolutely brilliant atmosphere, which goes to show how well this game executed every aspect, including the starting areas. When I think of the Gateway Galaxy, my first thought is loneliness, as almost nowhere do you feel more alone than on this small planet right here. Being able to see the Mushroom Kingdom off in the distance is frankly quite depressing, as Mario is millions of miles away from his home, and this place does a great job at conveying that emotion. This has a very similar skybox to the Common Observatory, and it works perfectly in both locations. Overall, I think it's important to spend time with the video games you really enjoy, in order to further experience and witness what makes them so captivating and interesting. The amount of effort that game developers put into their work is nothing short of awe-inspiring, and we wouldn't have any of these magical experiences without the talented work of the people behind them. But with all that, I'm going to wrap up the video. Thank you so much for coming along with me on this journey, and I'll see you next time.